The great hall of the Galactic Council was quiet as Ambassador Keth walked to his seat. The blue lights from above made everything look calm and peaceful. Around him sat representatives from 17 different alien species, all gathered for their weekly meeting, but today felt different. Today, there was worry in the air. Keth belonged to the Altarian Republic, a race of tall, thin beings with silver skin and large black eyes. His people were known for being smart and careful. They had been part of the Galactic Council for over 300 years, helping to keep peace between the different worlds. My fellow ambassadors, Keth began, his voice carrying across the silent chamber. We must discuss the reports coming from the Outer Rim territories. Something strange is happening out there. The other delegates shifted in their seats. Ambassador Lorne from the Vegan Systems, a short creature with blue scales, raised one of his forearms. You mean the pirate disappearances? That could be anything. Space is dangerous. But Keth shook his head. No, this is different. Entire fleets are vanishing without a trace. No wreckage, no distress signals, nothing. One day they are there. The next day they are gone. Dr. Vega stood up from her seat in the research section. She was a member of the Proxima species, beings that looked almost like large insects, but were incredibly intelligent. For 30 years, she had studied the old records and ancient ruins scattered across the galaxy. Most people thought her work was a waste of time, but Keth had always respected her knowledge. Honored ambassadors, Dr. Vega said, her voice clicking slightly as she spoke. I believe these disappearances might be connected to something we have all heard about, but never taken seriously. The Terrans. A wave of nervous laughter spread through the chamber. The Terrans, or humans as some records called them, were legendary figures in galactic folklore. Parents told stories about them to make their children behave. They were supposed to be a violent, dangerous species that had vanished from known space over 1,000 years ago. Come now, Dr. Vega, said Minister Dale from the Centauri Alliance, a large bear-like creature with golden fur. You cannot seriously suggest that fairy tales are responsible for missing pirates, but Dr. Vega was not backing down. She activated her holographic display, showing images of strange ruins on dead planets. These are not fairy tales. I have spent decades studying the evidence. The humans were real, and they were unlike any species we know today. The images showed buildings made from metal and stone, clearly built by intelligent beings. But there was something different about them. Where other species built cities that flowed with the natural landscape, these structures looked like they were built for war. High walls, narrow windows, and defensive positions everywhere. Look at these battle sites, Dr. Vega continued, changing the images to show massive crater fields on various worlds. The damage patterns are unlike anything in our military databases. Entire mountain ranges were turned to glass. Ocean floors were melted into new shapes. This was not regular warfare. Ambassador Keth studied the images carefully. His people were experts at understanding technology, and what he saw troubled him. These weapon signatures. They do not match any known energy patterns. Exactly, Dr. Vega said, excitement growing in her voice. The humans fought wars in ways that we cannot even imagine. They did not follow the rules of civilized conflict. They attacked military and industrial targets without regard for the old codes of honor. The Galactic Council had strict rules about warfare. When conflicts happened, they were fought between military forces only. Civilian populations were never targeted. Surrendering enemies were treated with respect. Cultural and historical sites were protected. These rules had kept peace in the galaxy for centuries. But why did they disappear? Asked Commander Rex from the Outer Rim Patrol. He was from the Kepler species, tall and thin with pale blue skin. His job was to monitor the edge of known space, and recently he had been very busy investigating strange reports. Dr. Vega changed her display again, showing a timeline of human activity. The record suggests they were involved in a great war, something that threatened their entire species. But instead of fighting to the end, they simply vanished. All their colonies were abandoned. Their ships disappeared from space lanes. It was as if they decided to leave our part of the galaxy entirely. Or they were destroyed, suggested Admiral Knox from the Council Defense Force. He was a massive creature from the Rigel system, with thick armor plating covering his body. Perhaps their violent ways finally caught up with them. That is what most people believe, Dr. Vega agreed. But I have found evidence that suggests otherwise. There are signs that they left voluntarily, taking their technology and knowledge with them. They went somewhere beyond our borders, into the dark spaces between the stars. The chamber fell silent as the delegates considered this possibility. The idea that an entire species could simply disappear into unexplored space was frightening. The galaxy was vast, and the Council only controlled a small part of it. There were countless star systems that had never been visited or mapped. Even if they survived, said Ambassador Keth, that was over 1,000 years ago. They could be extinct by now, or so changed that they would not be the same species. Perhaps, Dr. Vega replied. But consider this. If they survived, what have they been doing all this time? A species that could fight wars, the way the old records suggest, would not simply settle down and become peaceful farmers. Commander Rex leaned forward in his seat. Are you suggesting that the humans might be responsible for the pirate disappearances? I am suggesting that we should consider all possibilities, Dr. Vega answered carefully. The patterns match. Entire fleets vanishing without a trace. No wreckage left behind. No survivors to tell what happened. This is exactly what the old records describe from human military actions. Minister Dale shook his massive head. This is impossible. The pirates have modern shields, advanced weapons, and experienced crews. Even if the humans survived, their 1,000-year-old technology would be no match for current defenses. But Dr. Vega had one more image to show. It was a recording from a merchant ship that had barely escaped a pirate attack 3 months ago. The image quality was poor, but it showed something attacking the pirate vessels. The attacking ships were angular and dark, nothing like the smooth, curved designs favored by all known species. The merchant captain described these ships as built for war and nothing else. He said they moved with precision that seemed impossible, coordinating their attacks in ways that suggested a single controlling intelligence. The chamber was completely silent now. Every delegate stared at the blurry image of the unknown ships. They looked alien even by galactic standards, designed with sharp edges and heavy armor plating. There were no decorative elements, no artistic features. They were tools of war, pure and simple. What do you recommend we do? Ambassador Keth asked finally. Dr. Vega looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each delegate. We prepare. If the humans have returned, they will not be the same species that left 1,000 years ago. They will be harder, stronger, and more dangerous than anything we have ever faced. And if they are still just myths, asked Minister Dale. Then we have nothing to worry about, Dr. Vega replied. But if they are real, and if they are coming back to this part of the galaxy, then we need to be ready for a kind of war that none of our species have ever experienced. The meeting ended with more questions than answers, but one thing was clear. The comfortable peace of the Galactic Council was about to be tested in ways they had never imagined. Captain Rex stood on the bridge of his exploration ship, Harmony's Edge, watching the strange readings on his scanner display. For 3 days, his crew had been investigating unusual energy signatures near the Kepler Nebula. The patterns were unlike anything in their databases, and Rex was starting to think they had found something important. Captain, called Lieutenant Jana from her communication station. She was a young officer from the vegan systems, with bright blue scales that changed color when she was excited. Right now, they were flashing yellow with worry. The energy readings are getting stronger. Something big is happening out there. Rex nodded and walked over to the science station where Dr. Cole was studying the data. Dr. Cole belonged to the same species as Rex, tall and thin, with pale blue skin. He was the best scientist in the Outer Rim Patrol, which was why Rex had requested him for this mission. "What do you think, Cole?" Rex asked, looking at the swirling colors on the screen. "I have never seen anything like this," Dr. Cole replied, his voice filled with wonder and concern. "The energy levels are enormous, but they are organized in patterns that suggest intelligent control. Someone or something is manipulating space itself." Suddenly, the ship's alarms began to sound. Lieutenant Mark at the sensor station, a stocky creature from the Rigel system, called out an alarm. "Captain, something is coming out of the nebula. Multiple contacts, very large." Rex rushed back to his command chair and activated the main view screen. What he saw made his blood run cold. Ships were emerging from what looked like tears in space. Itself, these were not normal faster-than-light jumps that other species used. This was something completely different, as if the ships were stepping through doorways between dimensions. "Count them, Mark," Rex ordered, trying to keep his voice steady. "Still counting, sir. 20.40. 60 ships and more coming. Captain, some of these vessels are massive. Bigger than anything in our fleet records." The ships that appeared were unlike anything Rex had ever seen. Where the vessels of the Galactic Council were smooth and curved, built for both beauty and function, these ships were angular and brutal. They looked like they were designed for one purpose only: war. Heavy armor plating covered every surface. Weapon ports bristled along their hulls like thorns on a dangerous plant. There were no decorative elements, no artistic features. These ships were tools of destruction, built by beings who understood violence in ways that civilized species had forgotten. "Janna, try to establish communication," Rex ordered. "Use standard first contact protocols." Lieutenant Janna's scales flickered nervously as she opened communication channels. "Unknown vessels, this is the Galactic Council ship Harmony's Edge. Welcome to this sector of space. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly contact." For several long minutes, there was only silence. Rex watched as more ships continued to emerge from their dimensional tiers. He counted over 100 vessels now, with some so large they could probably carry his entire ship in their cargo holds. Finally, a response came through the speakers. The voice was deep and cold, speaking in perfect galactic standard language, but with an accent that no one on the bridge could identify. "This is Fleet Admiral Kane of the Terran Federation Navy. You are in violation of our territorial space. State your business or withdraw immediately." Rex felt his heart skip a beat. Terran, the word from ancient legends, the species that Dr. Vega had spoken about in the council chambers. The humans were real, and they were here. "Admiral Kane," Rex replied, trying to maintain diplomatic protocols, even though his hands were shaking. "I am Captain Rex of the Galactic Council Outer Rim Patrol. According to galactic law, this is neutral space. We are conducting routine scientific surveys." "Captain Rex," came the cold reply, "you're galactic. Law means nothing to us. This sector is now under Terran protection. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming force." Dr. Cole moved closer to Rex's chair and whispered urgently, "Captain, their ships are scanning us. But the scanning methods they are using, I do not recognize the technology. It is far more advanced than anything we have." Rex tried again to establish peaceful contact. "Admiral Kane, we have no hostile intentions. We are explorers and scientists. The Galactic Council seeks peaceful relations with all intelligent species." "The Galactic Council," Admiral Kane repeated, and Rex could hear something like amusement in his voice. "Tell me, Captain, what do you know about the species that lived in this region before your council claimed it?" Rex was confused. I am sorry, Admiral, but our records show this area has been uninhabited for over 1,000 years. Uninhabited, Kane said, and now his voice was definitely angry. The Zilani lived here, Captain. A peaceful species of farmers and artists. They built beautiful cities on 3 worlds in this system. Do you know what happened to them? Rex looked at Dr. Cole, who was frantically checking his databases. I am not familiar with the Zilani, Admiral. Of course you are not, Kane replied. Because your council never bothered to record their existence. 3 months ago, pirates using council-registered ships attacked Zilani colonies. They took everything of value and killed anyone who resisted. The survivors fled to our space, begging for protection. Rex felt sick. The Outer Rim Patrol was supposed to prevent exactly this kind of thing from happening. Admiral, if crimes were committed, the Council will investigate and bring justice to those responsible. Justice? Kane's voice was filled with cold fury. Captain, the Zilani survivors brought us recordings of the attacks. They showed us Council ships destroying hospitals and schools. They showed us your peacekeepers standing by while innocents died. That is impossible, Rex protested. The Council does not attack civilian targets. It is against our most basic laws. Perhaps your laws need to be rewritten, Kane said. Or perhaps your council needs new leadership. On his scanner display, Rex watched as the human ships began to move into formation. They moved with a precision that was almost frightening, each vessel taking its position in a pattern that spoke of long training and perfect coordination. Admiral, Rex said desperately, let us bring this matter to the council. We can resolve this through peaceful negotiation. Negotiation, Kane repeated. Captain, do you know how long we have been watching your council? How long we have been monitoring your so-called peacekeeping efforts? Rex did not answer, afraid of what he might hear. We have been watching for decades, Kane continued. We have seen your council ignore genocide because it was economically inconvenient. We have watched your peacekeepers arrive after massacres to file reports that disappear into bureaucratic files. We have observed your diplomatic solutions that always favor the stronger party. More human ships were arriving through their dimensional portals. Rex could now count over 200 vessels, with some so massive they blocked out the stars behind them. Your council has had 1,000 years to build a just and peaceful galaxy, Admiral Kane said. Instead, you have built a system where the strong prey on the weak while bureaucrats write strongly worded letters. That ends now. What are you saying? Rex asked, though he was beginning to understand. I am saying that the age of council law is over in this sector, Kane replied. Any species that seeks our protection will receive it. Any force that threatens those under our care will be destroyed. Your galaxy forgot about us, Captain, but we never forgot about our responsibilities. Rex watched helplessly as the human fleet spread out across the system. They were not just passing through. They were establishing a presence, claiming territory that had been considered neutral space for centuries. Admiral Kane, Rex said, making one last attempt at diplomacy, the Council will not accept this territorial claim. They will send fleets to restore their authority. Let them come, Kane said, and Rex could hear the confidence in his voice. We have been preparing for this moment for a very long time. Your council fleets are built for parades and police actions against pirates. Our fleets are built for war. The communication channel went silent. Rex stared at the massive human fleet surrounding his small exploration ship. They had not attacked, but the message was clear. The rules had changed. Captain, Lieutenant Janna said quietly, what do we do now? Rex looked at his crew, all young officers who had signed up to explore new worlds and make peaceful contact with alien species. None of them had trained for this situation. We report back to the Council, Rex said finally. And we pray that someone there understands what we are facing. As Harmony's edge turned to leave the system, Rex took one last look at the human fleet. Admiral Kane had been right about one thing. These ships were built for war, and from what Rex could see, they were very good at it. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been going on for 6 hours. The great chamber was filled with angry voices as representatives from 17 species argued about what to do with the human problem. Captain Rex's report had shaken everyone to their core. The legendary Terrans were real, they were back, and they were claiming territory. President Orion of the Centauri Alliance stood at the central podium, his golden fur bristling with anger. He was the largest being in the chamber, standing nearly 3 meters tall, and when he spoke, his voice boomed across the room. "Fellow delegates," President Orion growled, "we cannot allow this insult to stand. For over 800 years, the Galactic Council has maintained peace through law and diplomacy. Now these humans think they can appear from nowhere and claim our space by force?" Ambassador Keth watched from his seat as other delegates nodded in agreement. The Altarian had been studying the reports all morning, and what he read worried him more than the others seemed to understand. The human fleet was not just large, it was organized in ways that spoke of military experience far beyond anything the Council possessed. "The question before us is simple," continued President Orion. "Do we submit to these terrorists, or do we show them that civilized species will not bow to threats?" Here, called out Minister Dale, banging his massive fist on his desk. The bear-like delegate from the outer colonies had lost 3 trading posts to pirates in recent months. These humans claim they are protecting people, but they are just another group of criminals trying to steal our territory. Admiral Knox rose from his seat in the military section. The massive creature from the Rigel system commanded the Council Defense Force, and his opinion carried great weight in matters of war. His thick armor plating gleamed under the chamber lights as he spoke. "Distinguished delegates," Admiral Knox began, his voice deep and confident, "I have reviewed Captain Rex's report carefully. Yes, the human fleet is large, but size alone does not win battles. Our combined forces represent the most advanced military technology in known space." Dr. Vega stood up from her research station, her insect-like body trembling with urgency. "Admiral Knox, with respect, you are making a terrible mistake. The humans are not like the pirates or raiders we usually fight. Their military doctrine is completely different from ours." "Different how?" Admiral Knox asked, turning his massive head toward the scientist. Dr. Vega activated her holographic display, showing images from her research into human warfare. "Our species fight wars according to rules. We protect civilians, we accept surrender, we avoid destroying cultural sites. The humans have no such limitations." "Barbaric," muttered Ambassador Lorne from the vegan systems. "Surely even they would not attack innocent populations." "You misunderstand," Dr. Vega said urgently. "They do not attack civilians, but they do not let concern for civilian safety limit their military actions. If destroying a military target might harm nearby non-combatants, we hesitate. The humans calculate acceptable losses and proceed with their mission." Commander Rex, who had been invited to speak about his encounter, stood up nervously. The young captain was still shaken by his meeting with Admiral Kane. "Dr. Vega is right. When I spoke with Admiral Kane, there was something in his voice. He was not angry or emotional. He was cold, calculating. He spoke about war like it was just another job to complete." "All the more reason to act quickly," President Orion declared, "before they can establish stronger positions in our territory." Admiral Knox moved to the tactical display at the center of the chamber. With a few commands, he brought up a 3-dimensional map showing the current positions of Council forces throughout the galaxy. "We have 312 vessels in our combined fleet," Admiral Knox announced. "Ships from all member species, equipped with the most advanced shields and energy weapons available. The humans may have numbers, but we have superior technology. The Admiral changed the display to show technical specifications of Council warships. Our plasma cannons can penetrate any known armor. Our quantum shields can absorb massive amounts of energy. Our ships are faster and more maneuverable than the crude designs Captain Rex described. Ambassador Keth studied the tactical information carefully. His people were expert engineers, and something about the human ship designs troubled him. Admiral, the angular construction of their vessels... It suggests they prioritize armor and weapon placement over speed and comfort. These are not exploration ships converted for military use. They are dedicated warships, which makes them predictable, Admiral Knox replied confidently. Single-purpose vessels are easier to counter than multi-purpose designs. Dr. Vega tried once more to warn them, you are all missing the point. The humans do not just have different ships, they have a different approach to warfare entirely. Their historical records show they use tactics that we would consider dishonorable or impossible. Such as, President Orion asked impatiently, ramming attacks with their own vessels, sacrificing entire squadrons to achieve tactical advantages, fighting to the death rather than surrendering when defeated, using their damaged ships as weapons rather than seeking rescue for their crews. The chamber fell silent for a moment as the delegates considered this. The idea of deliberately sacrificing your own people for military advantage was alien to every species in the Council. Surely you exaggerate, said Minister Dale. No rational species would waste their own lives so carelessly. That is exactly my point, Dr. Vega said desperately. You are thinking about this rationally, but the humans do not approach war the same way we do. For them, victory is the only acceptable outcome, regardless of cost. Admiral Knox dismissed her concerns with a wave of his massive hand. Ancient history, Dr. Vega. These humans have been isolated for 1,000 years. Even if your research is accurate, they could not have maintained such extreme military discipline for so long without constant warfare. Commander Rex spoke up. Again, Admiral, when I saw their fleet movements, they were perfectly coordinated. Every ship knew exactly where to go and what to do. That level of precision requires extensive training. Training against what? Admiral Knox asked. Pirates? Wild animals? They have been in exile, Captain. We are their first real military challenge in centuries. President Orion called for order as the debate grew louder. Enough discussion. We have heard all the arguments. The question before U.S. is whether we allow these humans to claim our territory or defend our sovereign rights. The vote was closer than many expected, but the result was clear. 14 species voted to send the combined fleet with an ultimatum. Only 3 voted against military action. Very well, President Orion announced. Admiral Knox, you will take our combined fleet to the Kepler sector. You will deliver a simple message to these humans. Submit to Galactic Council authority or face the consequences. Admiral Knox stood and saluted. It will be my honor, President Orion. How long should I give them to consider our ultimatum? No. Ultimatum, President Orion replied firmly. They had their chance to negotiate when Captain Rex offered peaceful contact. Now they will learn what happens when someone challenges the authority of civilized space. As the session ended, Dr. Vega made one last attempt to change their minds. Please, you must reconsider. The humans are not like other species we have faced. They have had 1,000 years to prepare for this moment. But no one was listening anymore. The delegates were already planning victory celebrations and discussing how to divide the human territory after their defeat. Ambassador Keth lingered in the chamber after most others had left. He found Dr. Vega packing up her research materials, her insect-like hands shaking with worry. You really believe we are making a mistake? Keth asked quietly. Dr. Vega looked up at him with her large compound eyes. Ambassador, I have spent my entire career studying the evidence of human warfare. What we are about to do is not a military action. It is suicide. And why did you not vote against it? Because it would not have mattered, Dr. Vega replied. Sadly, the Council has decided that these humans are just another group of pirates to be swept aside. They refuse to understand that we are about to fight a species that turned warfare into a science. As Keth left the chamber, he watched through the great windows as Admiral Knox's fleet began to assemble. 300 ships from 17 different worlds, representing the combined military might of galactic civilization. It was an impressive sight, and Keth tried to feel confident about their chances, but Dr. Vega's words echoed in his mind. The humans had disappeared from known space 1,000 years ago after fighting wars that turned entire worlds into glass. Now they were back, with a military force that moved like a single organism and a commander who spoke of war like other people discussed the weather. As the Council fleet departed for the Kepler sector, Keth wondered if they were flying toward victory or toward the greatest military disaster in galactic history. Admiral Knox stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Galactic Pride, watching as the human fleet appeared on his tactical display. 312 Council ships faced approximately 200 human vessels near Proxima Station. The numbers favored his forces, and Admiral Knox felt confident about the coming battle. All ships maintain formation, Admiral Knox commanded into his communication system. Remember, we are here to show these humans the power of civilized space. Follow standard engagement protocols. Captain Bell, his tactical officer from the Vegan systems, studied the enemy positions with her 4 eyes. Admiral, the human ships are not moving into defensive formation. They appear to be splitting apart. Admiral Knox looked at the display with confusion. According to every military manual he had studied, fleets should group together for maximum defensive capability. The humans were doing the opposite, breaking into small groups that spread across the battlefield. Foolish, Admiral Knox muttered. They are making themselves easy targets. All ships, prepare to engage. Target the largest enemy vessels first. But as the Council fleet moved forward in their traditional battle line formation, something unexpected happened. The scattered human groups suddenly accelerated toward them from multiple directions at once. Instead of meeting the Council ships head-on, they were attacking from above, below, and both sides simultaneously. Admiral, Captain Bell called out in alarm. They are surrounding us. Impossible, Admiral Knox replied. We have more ships. They cannot surround a larger force. But on his tactical display, Admiral Knox could see that the impossible was happening. The human ships moved with a coordination that seemed almost supernatural. Each group knew exactly where to go and when to attack, as if they were all controlled by a single mind. The first human attack hit the Council's right flank like a hammer. 3 human destroyers targeted the Centauri heavy cruiser Golden Mountain, focusing all their fire on a single point of its shields. Within seconds, the shields collapsed and plasma beams tore through the ship's hull. Golden Mountain is requesting permission to surrender, reported Lieutenant Mark from communications. Admiral Knox opened a channel to the damaged ship. Counselor Wolf, signal your surrender. The humans will accept and provide medical assistance, according to galactic law. But the human ships ignored the surrender signal completely. They continued their assault until the Golden Mountain exploded in a brilliant flash of light. There were no survivors. They ignored the surrender, Captain Bell whispered, in shock. That is against every rule of civilized warfare. Admiral Knox felt ice form in his stomach. Dr. Vega had been right. These humans did not fight according to the rules that governed every other species in the galaxy. All ships defensive positions, Admiral Knox commanded. Protect damaged vessels and prepare for close combat. But the human ships were already moving to their next targets. A group of human cruisers attacked the Council's left flank, using tactics that no military academy taught. They flew straight into the Council formation, accepting heavy damage to get close enough for devastating short-range attacks. The human ship, Stryker, took a direct hit from a Rigel plasma cannon that should have destroyed it completely. Instead of retreating or exploding, the heavily damaged vessel continued forward and rammed into the Council destroyer, Blue Star. Both ships disappeared in a massive explosion. "Admiral," Captain Bell reported, her voice shaking, "the humans are using their damaged ships as weapons. They are deliberately ramming our vessels." Admiral Knox watched in horror as another human ship, its hull venting atmosphere and sparking, with electrical fires, accelerated toward the Council frigate. Morning light. The human ship's captain was sacrificing his own vessel and crew to destroy an enemy target. "This is madness," Admiral Knox said. No rational commander would waste his ships like this, but the tactic was working. Every human ramming attack destroyed 2 ships, their own and a Council vessel. Since the Council had started with more ships, this exchange rate actually favored the humans. The battle continued for what felt like hours, but was actually only minutes. Human ships that should have been destroyed by direct hits kept fighting even as their hulls broke apart. Council crews, trained to preserve their ships and protect their lives, found themselves facing enemies who seemed to care about neither. "Admiral," Lieutenant Mark called out urgently, "the humans are using some kind of new weapon technology. Our shields are not stopping their attacks." Admiral Knox looked at his tactical display and saw that Mark was right. Human weapons were somehow bypassing Council shields entirely, striking directly at ship hulls. It was impossible according to everything they knew about energy warfare. How are they doing this? Admiral Knox demanded. Captain Bell studied her sensor readings. "I do not know, Admiral. Their weapons appear to be standard plasma-based systems, but they are operating on frequencies that our shields cannot detect." What Admiral Knox did not understand was that the humans had spent 1,000 years studying Council technology from a distance. They knew exactly how galactic shields worked and had developed weapons specifically designed to counter them. The turning point of the battle came when Admiral Kane's flagship, the Indomitable, targeted Admiral Knox's command ship directly. Massive human dreadnought emerged from behind a debris field and opened fire with weapons that seemed to tear space itself apart. "Shields failing," Captain Bell reported as the ship shook around them. "Hull breaches on deck 7 through 12. Admiral Knox tried to maintain command as his flagship fell apart around him. "All ships, concentrate fire on the enemy flagship." But the human fleet had anticipated this move. As Council ships turned to attack the Indomitable, other human vessels struck at their undefended sides and rear sections. The coordination was perfect, as if the entire human fleet shared a single tactical mind. The Council ship Harmony, commanded by Captain Rex's former Academy instructor, took critical damage when 3 human destroyers attacked it simultaneously. As the ship's life support began to fail, Captain Ross sent a desperate message to Admiral Knox. "Admiral, we must retreat. This is not a battle, it is a massacre." Admiral Knox looked at his tactical display and saw that Captain Ross was right. In less than 14 minutes, the Council had lost over 60 ships. The humans had lost approximately 30 vessels, but they had achieved this through deliberate sacrifice rather than superior firepower. "All ships, begin tactical withdrawal." Admiral Knox commanded reluctantly, but the humans were not finished. As the Council ships tried to retreat, human pursuit groups followed them, picking off damaged vessels that could not keep up with the main fleet. They showed no mercy to ships that fell behind, and they ignored every attempt at surrender. Few Council ships that managed to escape brought back reports that would haunt galactic civilization for years to come. The humans fought like machines, with no regard for their own safety and no respect for the rules that made warfare civilized. Admiral Kane's message was broadcast to every surviving Council ship as they fled the battlefield. "You came here to teach us about civilized warfare. Instead, you have learned why the galaxy forgot us. Forgetting was the only way you could sleep at night. The Battle of Proxima Station lasted exactly 14 minutes. When it was over, the Council Defense Force had suffered the worst military defeat in galactic history. Over 200 ships and their crews were gone, destroyed by an enemy that fought wars like no other species in known space. News of the disaster reached the Galactic Council within hours. The representatives who had voted for military action sat in stunned silence as the reports came in. The humans had not just won, they had demonstrated that everything the galaxy believed about warfare was wrong. Dr. Vega received the news in her research laboratory. She felt no satisfaction at being proven right. Too many good people had died. Because the Council refused to listen to warnings about an enemy they did not understand. As reports of human strike forces appearing throughout Council space began to arrive, one thing became clear: the age of civilized warfare was over. The humans were back, and they were winning. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Proxima Station, and the galaxy was a very different place. Ambassador Keth walked slowly down the corridor of the massive human ship Indomitable, his silver skin reflecting the harsh white lights that lined the walls. Everything about this vessel spoke of military efficiency. No decorations, no comfort features, just the tools of war. The past 6 months had been a nightmare for the Galactic Council. Human strike forces had appeared throughout their territory, like ghosts, attacking military installations with surgical precision. What made it even more terrifying was that they never harmed civilians. Every attack targeted only military bases, weapon factories, and Council defense positions. "Ambassador Keth," said Commander Lane, the human officer escorting him to the meeting. She was a woman of medium height with short brown hair and eyes that seemed to see everything. "Admiral Kane is waiting for you in the conference room." Keth nodded nervously. After months of failed attempts at communication, the humans had finally agreed to peace talks. But the terms of the meeting had been simple: 1 ambassador, no guards, no weapons, aboard the human flagship. The conference room was as stark as the rest of the ship. A simple metal table with chairs, surrounded by displays showing tactical information from across the galaxy. Admiral Kane sat at the far end of the table, studying reports on a handheld device. Kane looked exactly as Keth had imagined from Captain Rex's description. He was tall and lean, with graying hair and cold blue eyes that missed nothing. When he looked up at Keth, the ambassador felt like he was being examined by a predator, deciding whether he was prey or not worth the effort. "Ambassador Keth," Kane said, gesturing to a chair across from him. "Please sit down, we have much to discuss." Keth took his seat carefully, noting that Kane had not stood to greet him. This was either a calculated insult or simply human efficiency. Given what he had learned about humans over the past months, Keth suspected it was the latter. "Admiral Kane," Keth began, "the Galactic Council is prepared to negotiate a ceasefire. We believe that our recent conflicts have been based on misunderstandings that can be resolved through diplomacy." Kane set down his device and looked directly at Keth. "Ambassador, let me save us both some time. I am not interested in a ceasefire. I am here to discuss the terms of your surrender." Keth felt his blood grow cold. "Surrender? Admiral, the Council represents 17 species across hundreds of worlds. We may have suffered losses, but we are hardly defeated. Are you not?" Kane asked, activating a holographic display above the table. "In the past 6 months, we have destroyed or captured every major military installation in Council space. Your defense fleets have been reduced to patrol ships and customs vessels. You have no ability to project military power beyond your core worlds." The display showed a map of Council territory, marked with red symbols indicating destroyed facilities. Keth was shocked to see how many there were. The humans had been thorough and efficient. "However," Kane continued, "we have been careful to avoid civilian casualties. Not one non-military person has been harmed in our operations. We could have targeted population centers, but we chose not to. Why? Keth asked, genuinely curious. Kane leaned back in his chair. Because we are not monsters, Ambassador. We are soldiers. There is a difference, though I understand your species may not recognize it. Keth studied the human commander carefully. If you are not monsters, then why do you fight with such brutality? You mean why do we fight to win? Kane replied. Ambassador, your species have spent centuries playing at war. You have rules and protocols that make conflict into a game. Real war is not a game. It is the complete application of force to achieve political objectives. Kane stood and walked to another display showing images of destroyed worlds. These are the Zilani colonies that were attacked while your council wrote strongly worded letters. These are the Moran settlements that were enslaved while your peacekeepers filed reports. This is what happens when civilized people try to stop barbarians with paperwork. Keth looked at the images and felt shame. He recognized some of the locations from intelligence reports that had been buried in bureaucratic files. You knew, Kane said, watching Keth's reaction. Your council knew about these attacks, but chose not to act because it was politically inconvenient. The council cannot intervene in every local conflict, Keth protested weakly. Cannot or will not? Kane asked. Ambassador, we have been watching your civilization for decades. We have seen your peacekeepers arrive after massacres to count bodies and file reports. We have watched your diplomats negotiate treaties that favor whoever has the most economic influence. Kane returned to his seat and pulled up another display. This one showed human colonies in previously unexplored space, cities, farms, research stations, and defensive platforms. While you were playing politics, we were building a new civilization, Kane explained. We learned from our mistakes, Ambassador. We learned that sometimes peace must be enforced rather than negotiated. What do you want from us? Keth asked quietly. Recognition, Kane replied simply. Formal acknowledgement of our territorial claims and our right to protect species that seek our help. A seat on your council so we can ensure that future massacres do not go unanswered. Keth was surprised. That is all. You could demand much more after your military victories. Kane nodded. We could demand everything, Ambassador. We could disband your council and rule this galaxy ourselves. But that is not why we returned. Then why did you return? Kane was quiet for a long moment, looking at the tactical displays around them. Because hiding while innocents died made us no better than the bureaucrats who ignored their suffering. We swore an oath 1,000 years ago to protect those who could not protect themselves. It took us this long to remember what that meant. Keth felt something he had not expected to feel in this meeting: respect. The council will not easily accept your terms. Many still see you as invaders. They are free to see us however they wish, Kane replied. But they will accept our terms, because the alternative is the complete destruction of their military forces. Kane activated one more display, showing the current positions of human fleets throughout the galaxy. There were far more ships than Keth had imagined, positioned to strike at every remaining council stronghold. We do not want to rule your species, Ambassador, Kane said. We want to ensure that when the next group of raiders attacks innocent colonists, someone will be there to stop them permanently. And if the council refuses your terms? Kane's expression did not change. Then we will remove the council and establish a new government that understands the meaning of justice. The choice is yours. Keth looked at the treaty document that Kane placed on the table. The terms were exactly as the Admiral had described: territorial recognition, council membership, and mutual defense agreements for species under human protection. This will not be easy for my people to accept, Keth said as he reviewed the document. Change is never easy, Kane replied, but it is necessary. Your old system failed, Ambassador. It failed the Zilani, the Moran, and countless other species who died while your council debated proper procedures. Keth picked up the electronic stylus and hesitated. By signing this treaty, he would be acknowledging that the Galactic Council's way of maintaining peace had been wrong for centuries. "Admiral," Keth said finally, "how can we be sure that you will not become the very tyranny you claim to oppose?" Kane stood and walked to the window overlooking space. "Because, Ambassador, we remember what happens when good people do nothing while evil spreads. We will not make that mistake again." Keth signed the treaty that would reshape galactic civilization. As he set down the stylus, he realized that the age of gentle diplomacy was ending. The age of enforced justice had begun, with humanity standing guard over the stars they had once abandoned. The galaxy would never be the same, but perhaps that was exactly what it needed.